You know, when you picture a massive cargo ship, you probably think of this, like simple steel giant, right? Just moving boxes from point A to point B. Well, that picture is getting a total rethink. We're about to see how these vessels are becoming these complex, thinking machines, and they're completely changing the game for global trade.
So what if that simple steel giant is actually developing a brain? That's really the big question we're digging into. And look, this isn't some kind of science fiction for the future. This is a massive tech transformation that's happening on the high seas right now, and it's being driven by some pretty intense global pressures.
Okay, so let's just break this down. The whole philosophy behind shipping is shifting under our feet. We're going from old-school paper maps to AI-guided navigation. We're moving from burning that heavy, dirty fuel to using hybrid power. And this is the real game changer. We're going from just reacting to problems after they happen to predicting them before they even start. It's a huge, huge shift.
All right, so let's tackle that first piece of the puzzle, the digital brain. We're talking about the artificial intelligence that's pretty much becoming standard equipment on these brand new vessels.
I mean, just try to imagine the sheer amount of data these things are crunching. These platforms are constantly looking at weather patterns, they're tracking port traffic jams halfway across the planet, and they're monitoring the ship's own fuel burn all at the same time, just to find the absolute best route. You know, the big players, companies like Maersk and MSC, they're already all over this stuff.
So here's kind of how it works in 3 simple steps. First, the system just sucks in all that live data, weather, traffic, you name it. Then the AI does its thing, crunches all those numbers, and spits out the perfect path. And the result? Well, the ship saves a ton of fuel, which saves a ton of money, and it can cleverly dodge everything from a pop-up storm to a brewing geopolitical crisis.
And the ship's brain isn't just looking outward at the world, it's also looking inward. It's doing its own health checkup. That's what predictive analytics is all about. You've got sensors all over the engines and other key parts, and they're constantly feeding data to the AI. The system can spot the tiny little signs of a mechanical problem before it becomes a massive failure that leaves $1 billion of cargo stranded in the middle of the ocean.
Of course, a smart brain needs an efficient body to go with it. So next up, let's look at how these ships are actually getting powered into the future.
And here's where it gets really cool, and honestly a little surprising. Wind power is making a high-tech comeback. No, we're not talking about old-school sails and masts. We're seeing these advanced rotor sails. They're these giant spinning cylinders and massive automated kites getting bolted onto cargo ships to help literally pull them across the sea.
Now, 5 to 10% might not sound like a mind-blowing number at first, but you have to remember, a vessel this big burns tons and tons of fuel every single day. So a 5 or 10% savings, that is absolutely massive. It goes right to the bottom line, and just as important, it cuts emissions without having to totally rebuild the ship from scratch.
But wind is only part of the story. The whole industry is getting ready for a major switch in what they pour into the tank. Shipyards over in Asia, they're already building the next generation of ships that can run on cleaner fuels like methanol and ammonia. And a lot of them are being built with multi-fuel engines. It's all about giving them the flexibility to adapt to whatever the new hot fuel is going to be tomorrow.
So you might be asking, why all this change and why right now? Well, a huge part of the answer is that the world is an increasingly complicated and, frankly, risky place to do business.
I mean, just take geopolitics. You've got serious security threats in crucial waterways like the Red Sea. A ship's planned route can become a dangerous no-go zone literally overnight. This is exactly where that AI brain becomes absolutely essential for rerouting on the fly and managing risk in real time.
And it's not just about conflict between countries. Piracy is still a very real problem. We're seeing more and more incidents in places like the Singapore Strait, which is one of the most crowded shipping highways on the entire planet. Smarter ships mean better awareness, and that means better security.
And finally, you've got the immense pressure from regulators. There are new, much stricter environmental laws coming into effect, especially for ships operating around Europe. The message is pretty clear. If you want to do business here, you have to get cleaner. And that is a huge, huge driver for all the new fuel and efficiency tech we've been talking about.
So when you put all these different pieces together, the brain, the new power sources, and all these global risks, what does the fleet of tomorrow actually look like?
You know, the real breakthrough here, it isn't any one single gadget or technology. It's the integration. It's getting all of them to work together as one cohesive, smart system. It's the AI route planner talking to the hybrid engine, while the digital monitoring system is keeping an eye on the ship's health and making sure it's following all the rules. It's the whole shebang working in concert.
And really, it all boils down to this. In this new era of global trade,
The winners aren't going to be the companies with the biggest ships. They're going to be the ones with the smartest and the most resilient fleets. Your ability to embrace new tech and handle these global shocks, that's what's going to give you the edge. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where the only thing you can count on is change, maybe the smartest ship isn't just the one with the fanciest AI or the cleanest fuel. Maybe it's simply the one that can adapt to whatever comes next faster than anybody else.